Reverse engineering is breaking down a goal, a habit, or a project into mini steps by starting with the end in mind and then working backward to figure out what actually needs to happen next. Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we talk about real life and real systems so you can joyfully harmonize both home and work. I'm your host, Rebecca Scott. I'm a wife, mom, designer, coach, and lifelong systems thinker. And I help overwhelmed women build simple, sustainable rhythms that actually work for their real lives. Around here, we talk about priorities, pre-decisions, and practical tools that bring peace instead of pressure. Because you don't need more hustle, you need better systems and more grace. Today's episode is a good one. Hello, Encouragers. On this week's podcast, I want to talk to you about reverse engineering and why I believe this is the true, real, sustainable path to real progress. Have you ever had a goal that felt super exciting but a little bit overwhelming? And then it was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to figure this out? Like, how do I even know how to get there? And then suddenly, you just shut down. It's too much. It's like, I'll have to put that off for another day. You procrastinate it. I want to give you a tool that removes the overwhelm and replaces it with clarity and productivity. Because you can't jump 6 feet. I mean, you could try real hard, but you can jump or walk or crawl 6 inches, right? And those 6 inches repeated consistently will take you everywhere you want to go without any leaps happening. Most of us feel overwhelmed by big goals, even though we have them. Long to-do list, even though we know how to write a good to-do list. Unclear timelines, even though we can throw dates out there. We can be like, yeah, I can put a date out here. And we're overwhelmed by feeling behind without even knowing why we feel behind. All of those things. But reverse engineering helps to give us clarity on when it could happen. It gives us direction in the next 6 inches. It even gives us peace because we're like, wait, here is a plan. And it gives us momentum because we know the next 6 inches. So often we aren't lazy. We're just unclear. And when the clarity comes together, productivity will follow. Reverse engineering delivers it. What is reverse engineering? Reverse engineering is breaking down a goal, a habit, or a project into mini steps by starting with the end in mind and then working backward to figure out what actually needs to happen next. I love this process. I first learned about reverse engineering when I was in radio, when I was in college. And it was the first time I ever heard the concept. And the DJ told me, well, you're going to have to reverse engineer when that ad needs to fire on the board we were working on. And I was like, what do you mean reverse engineering? He said, well, time out how long the commercials are. If it's a 30-second commercial, a 60-second commercial, or a 15-second advertisement. I had to add up those time, and I knew when we had to go live on the microphone, so I had to reverse engineer when these commercials had to play and what songs I needed to have put into place so that they ended at the right time to do 2 or 3 commercials, the slight announcement, and then fire away with hot on the microphone at such and such a time. And at the time, I remember thinking, wow, this is so simple. It just really dawned on me, if I start with the end in mind, then I can reverse engineer when these had to happen. And it just really started clicking for me. And throughout the years, I've used this several times within my own businesses and even with my kids. It's like, well, let's reverse engineer it. What is your goal again? Maybe it's a basketball goal. Maybe it's a piano goal. Maybe it's a project they're working on. Okay, if the 4-H fair is on these dates, then how long do you think it's going to take us to do these projects or to learn this? So let's reverse engineer how this is going to happen. And it just works every single time, mostly because it calms my brain down to just have more clarity about what needs to happen. And some of this is not really emphasizing on the when it will happen, but the what, meaning the next 6 inches is what? How do we accomplish just that? And then it ends up being okay when you reverse engineer it because you know the next 6 inches. It's breaking the goal down into mini steps. It's visualizing the final outcome. It's replacing all that overwhelm with more clarity because you've broken it down a little bit further. And it focuses on the how instead of the when, because we can get really tripped up on the when. And depending on our personality types and perfectionism and procrastination, all those things, if we focus on the how, chances are if you're listening to this podcast, you're really good at the how. It's the when that overwhelms you. You know how and you know some steps and you know how to get things going, but the when is what overwhelms you. And reverse engineering really focuses on the how, the doing part, which you're all very good at, and less on the when. A little bit of the when, but not as much. And it creates a natural timeline without pressure because you've started with the end in mind in order to allow enough time. Instead of asking, when will I get this done? You will ask, what's the next right step? And that question right there is so much less stressful and far more actionable. Some of these goals and these habits or these projects may have a strict deadline, but some don't because you're like, I want to accomplish this, but I'm not going to put an end date on it because I'm nervous. Okay, I understand that. I mean, we totally understand that. And we also understand all the derailments that naturally happen in our lives, right? We are mothers. We have marriages. We have normal things that come up that we're like, that deadline's not going to happen. However, when we reverse engineer, we concentrate more on how. Like, okay, this derailment happened. It's not going to get done on the deadline I had set, but I do know the next 6 inches of the next step I need to take. I'm just going to push that deadline out a little bit. You're concentrating on the how, the next 6 inches, not so much the end or the when. So without reverse engineering, the goals stay vague. The dreams feel heavy, procrastination will increase, the stress will build, and you will stay stuck in the thinking instead of the doing. And let me remind everybody, I'm pretty sure we are all pro doers. We can do a lot. So I don't want to stay stuck in the thinking phase. But with reverse engineering, you know what's ahead, what's in the next 6 inches. Even if there's not a due date, you still know what the next 6 inches are. You feel capable again because you're like, wait, I can handle this. I can handle this next 6 inches. And you stop spinning mentally because there's a path. There's a timeline. There's a ladder of achievable things when you have reverse engineered the goal, the project, or the habit. I found a Bible verse after researching reverse engineering. Is there any of this in the Bible that I can apply? And guys, I don't know how I have missed this Bible verse over this many years of digging into my Bible and this many years of running a small business and a family. How did I miss this? Here is the Bible verse. It's from Habakkuk, which I will say only once because I'm positive I'm mispronouncing it. 2:2. So it's really easy to memorize. Are you ready? Write the vision and make it plain. That's it. Write the vision and make it plain. Now, I don't like to take Bible verses out of context, so I'm going to give you a little bit of the behind scenes from this prophet, because I'm not saying his name again, because I'll just butcher it. The Bible verse is, write the vision and make it plain. But here's the fuller context. The prophet was frustrated. He looked around and he saw injustice, he saw confusion, and he saw delay. I can relate to that. And he questioned God about it. Also, I have been known to do that. God's response wasn't to give him the whole outcome all at once. Instead, he told him to write the vision clearly so that the people could understand it, carry it, and walk it out step by step over time. Imagine that. God telling us, hey, you're still going to need me. So I'm going to give you the next 6 inches because I need to know that you're being faithful and obedient. Oh, but man, if I could just see the whole picture, God, and he says, just be faithful in the steps. The vision alone from God is trustworthy. The goal, the project, the habit that you're working on is trustworthy. It will unfold in the right time. The timeline is not what matters. It's you doing the next right step. But clarity does matter. And I appreciate that God calls it out and he says, oh, no. Write the vision. Make it clear. Clarity does matter. It helps your teammates. It helps your family. It helps yourself. So that is still important. But what's even more important is the obedience in the process. So when we make the plan, asking him to bless the plan, asking him to continue to give us the vision of his plan, and walking obediently in the next 6 inches. The prophet wasn't sitting on a beach dreaming up goals. Done that. He was wrestling with uncertainty and he was waiting on God. And God's instruction wasn't hurry up and get everything figured out. It was write it down clearly so you can walk it out faithfully. That's exactly what reverse engineering does. It takes the big picture and it makes it practical, clear, and actionable. Hey, encouragers, hope you're enjoying this episode. We'll be right back after this short break. This episode of The Encourager is brought to you by Rebecca Scott Designs, where we create thoughtfully designed purses and accessories that support your real life, not just your outfit. Every bag is designed with intention, handcrafted right here in South Dakota, and built around the belief that beauty and function should work together. From custom fabrics and linings to leathers, zippers, and really cool features, you get to design a piece that truly fits your life. Visit designyourownbag.com to create your own custom bag and use code ENCOURAGER for $10 off your purchase. So So here's a couple of ideas of how you can apply reverse engineering to some of your own habits, goals, and projects. Number one, we wanted to renew our vows when we've been married 20 years. And so to me, it felt really, really fun. It felt like kind of a big dream. I just wanted to make sure that we were able to communicate to each other what we had in mind for it. So having the initial conversation with Nick was the first part of it, but I visualized the end. I thought, okay, well, I know where we want to have it. We want to have it at Storm Mountain Church Camp in Rapid City, where we first met. We want to renew our vows at the place where we met. We want to have our children there and possibly our parents as well. So I knew the location. I had to figure out the date, so I just wrote date on there and left it blank because I wasn't sure when it was going to line up in the summer with all of my shows. So that was part of the process. I thought about the people who were going to be there. I thought about the what of it. So the vows, like what are the vows that we're going to read to each other? We're going to look up the ones we had. And then I also thought about the why. Why are we doing this again? And this was just to market for our children and for ourselves that this is a monumental moment, being married for 20 years. And so after I had all those little details written down, I reverse engineer it. Well, what would we need to know first? Probably the location or the date. Those are a little bit fuzzy, but I knew the location. So I picked that one. Then we needed to know the date so that I could reverse engineer, because this one really did have a little bit more of a hard date because it had to land when we were on vacation. I needed to know that. And then I had to think about the people. And then it was like, okay, well, now I need to ask the people if those dates are available for them. And then we could talk about the vows and what were the vows going to be that we wanted to do together. What part did Nick want to play in that? What part did I want to play in it? And then, of course, I understood the why. So when I reverse engineered, I literally looked at the details and I put numbers next to them. What is the last thing that's going to happen? What is the first thing that's going to happen? The last thing that was going to happen is actually the vows. It was the details of the vows, and you better believe it. Nick and I were coming up with those vows probably about 10 to 7 days before them. That was the last step. And being able to see the path clearly in the next 6 inches made it more exciting to renew our vows than it was overwhelming and like just another to-do thing. Because I didn't want it to feel like that. I wanted it to feel special, and I wanted it to be clear about what the plan was and why it was important to us. And by reverse engineering, I was able to do just that. Here's another example, and this might be for your business. Let's say you want to grow your email list. You want to make a bigger impact in the people that are being funneled to your services, or maybe it's your products. When you have the details of your emails written down, in this case, maybe there's not a deadline, but the goal is, let's say, 10,000 people on your email list, or maybe it's your open rate. And you just pick what that's going to be for you, and then all of the other details that go into building your email list. So maybe that's the opt-in link, and you're going to say, okay, I want to have a pop-up on the website that gives my customer great value for why they want to be on our email list. So you're going to need to write the opt-in link. You're going to need to put it on your website. That requires a few different steps. How are you going to promote your email list? So that requires maybe some of your social media. How often do you want to mention it on social media? Now, all these details that are spinning in your head are those 6-inch steps. Those are the things that you're going to number, and you're going to know the next right thing to do. And then you can measure how it's going. The third example that I have that is a little bit dangerous, but I'm going to do it because I've been praying and praying about it. I am going to build a solo cabin near our property for women to retreat and recharge. It's something I feel very passionate about. It's something that has really changed my life when I started doing this. I want to offer this to women. So when I thought of this idea, first of all, I asked God, is this just my vision or is this your vision? And I do believe it is his vision. It is something that I have experienced, and he wants me to carry it out for other women. And then I started reverse engineering it. So I wrote down all the fun details that I wanted for it. And I got really fun with it. I did a vision board for it. I did the curriculum that I want the woman to go through if she wants, or if she wants to nap the whole time, you can do that too. But I wrote down all the fun details, and then I set to reverse engineering. Well, what would be the end result? The solo cabin's first booking. And I visualized this woman pulling into the driveway and walking into her space. I visualized what it would look like. And then I thought, all right, I don't have a due date on this because of some of the other details when I'm thinking through the reverse engineering. So for example, funding for it. How are we going to fund this? Where's the location going to be? I know the approximate location, but there's some details there that I'm going to have to ask my in-laws for because of its intricacy with our farm. What is the building plan? How about the marketing for it? How about sourcing materials for it? How about promoting it? How about the driveway to get into it? How about the electricity? All of those things. Then when I was able to write down just the details, just totally randomly, I really could put numbers, which is the reverse engineering part of what would happen before what. And I'm telling you, I am getting there. And I'm telling you also, it is only a teeny tiny 6 inches at a time. But knowing the big part of those numbers and then being able to break them down to tiny little steps, today is a follow-up phone call with my in-laws about the location. That's a teeny tiny step, but it is the next step because I have reverse engineered this big vision. Reverse engineering really does work for both business goals. You've heard it work for family rhythms, and you know it can work for personal growth as well. And it even works for home projects, which my husband super likes when we do the reverse engineering for home projects without throwing out like, I want this done in 2025. We do reverse engineering for the home project. What does the finish look like? And what are the tiny steps before that? And sometimes we get 2 or 3 steps done in a weekend. Sometimes we only get half a step done, but we know the steps and less about the end date because these don't necessarily, home projects anyways, don't necessarily have a hard end date. So I want to give you a simple challenge this week, and here it is. Pick one area of your life that feels overwhelming. Maybe you think about your systems, okay? Or maybe you just think about your life overall. Write the end goal at the top of a page and then work backward. You can fill that whole page with all the details of the idea. Just have fun. Give yourself like just the freedom to just write down all the details. And then I want you to work backward, asking only one question. What needs to happen right before this? What needs to happen right before this? And what needs to happen right before this? Okay, that's it. That's it. Get the sheet of paper. Write the goal at the top. Brainstorm all you want on that piece of paper and then start putting numbers to it. And then asking the simple question, what would happen right before this? Then circle the one to do this week. I know that sounds simple, but seriously, that could be the start of reverse engineering for your life so that things feel less overwhelming and more clear. You can see the vision. You can see where you're going to have to be more faith in some steps than other steps, right? Some steps are about doing and some steps is about faith. Some steps is just about moving through it. But when you can see the next 6 inches at a time, it is far less overwhelming and far more doable when you do the reverse engineering aspect. You'll feel capable again, you'll stop feeling behind, and you will actually gain momentum. Reverse engineering helps you to stop feeling like life is happening to you and start feeling like you're walking into it with intention. Okay, a little caveat, encouragers. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need the whole roadmap. You just need the next faithful 6 inches. It still moves you forward, and those small steps taken consistently can absolutely change your life. You're only how many steps away from making it happen? So I encourage you, do the challenge, create that visual, create a path, create a plan, create the piece around it that's going to happen, and then get after it with progress. Until next time, encouragers, we've got this because he's got us. If this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It truly helps more women find these conversations. And if you're listening thinking, I don't need more motivation, I need someone to help me figure out my actual life, that's exactly what I do. Through Encourager Academy and one-on-one coaching, I help women build personalized systems for their home, work, and life rhythms. No cookie-cutter routines, but structures that fit your unique personality, your season, and your capacity. You can explore the Academy or book a free discovery call at theencouragerpodcast.com. Let's take your next small step forward together.